Hi everyone, my name is Jess Brandy and these are my thoughts on the mid-season of The Walking Dead, episode 9, Rock in the Road. And excuse me if I'm looking down, I did make some notes because I want to follow along in the episode, kind of say maybe at some stuff what I was thinking at the moment before like the next part came and kind of what I think is gonna come. Just my feelings and thoughts as the episode aired. I'm a huge Walking Dead fan and I could not wait for it to come back. It's like November to February felt like it was forever. It's finally here, so let's get into it. So when we first started, it was evening. Father Gabriel was supposed to be on watch, like he's doing watches now, and he's standing at his post. But it's like he's not paying attention. He's reading the Bible, and I'm like, what are you doing? You're supposed to be looking for threats. So he's reading the Bible. Then he's like down from his post. He's walking around. We see him go get the food, go take the knives, which is all they have because they don't have any guns because they gave them all to Negan. And he gets a car. He puts gas in the car and he leaves. And it's like, where are you going? What are you doing? Like, Father Gabriel, we already know that you are Shady Boots because when Father Gabriel was found, remember, he was up in that church. He had the canned food from the food drive, stayed at the church for a year, didn't let nobody in, let all his friends die and try to get in, and he wouldn't let nobody in. So he might be a new man now, but once shady, always shady. So I was looking at him kind of sideways, like, really, that's what you're doing? You supposed to be watching the baby for Rick, and you running off with the food and the knives and whatnot. What's that about? So, moving on. So the next scene was Rick at the hilltop with his crew trying to convince Gregory that now is the time to strike against the Saviors. Gregory, of course, is not having it. He's like, absolutely not. No, you people are coming here. I'm not even supposed to know you. You need to get out of my property and make sure nobody sees you because I don't even want the Saviors to know that I'm associated with you in any way, shape, or form. And so they leave and they're like, Maggie, you can still work on these people. Meanwhile, Enid comes in and she's like, oh, what? Like, hey, guys, come outside. They go outside, and because Maggie and is this anyway, the other black girl, not Michonne. Her name is not coming to me right now. But because they killed the walkers with the tractor or whatever, everybody is like indebted to Maggie right now. So they go outside. There's a group of people from the hilltop that are like, if you're going against the Saviors, we will be down for you. We will fight with you. But it's only a handful of people. It's not enough. Like right now at this point, it's not enough. So Jesus is like, oh, okay, it's time for me to take you to King Ezekiel and the kingdom. And Rick's like, what? The kingdom? So they drive to the kingdom and they see, the people on the horseback, and they're like, what's going on? Daryl's like, we need to get up out of here. So they go to have an audience with the king, and he's still like putting on these airs with this whole vernacular like he's in Macbeth or some sort of Shakespearean play. It gets on my last nerve. I wish he would stop. And they're like feeding right into it, because I'd have been like, could we please talk normal? Like, I don't have time for who goeth hither and yonder daybreak. Like, for real. So they meet with the king. Of course, Shiva is there, and Jesus didn't tell them that they had this tiger, which she's so good, because why she doesn't just jump off the stage and eat people is beyond me. So they're like, it's time for us to strike against them. King Ezekiel is pissed at Jesus, like, first of all, why are you even telling people my business? Because I told you in confidence that, I had something going on with Negan, and why you telling other people and whatnot? So he a little mad. So they're like, come on, we got a common enemy. You got all these people here, and come on, like, let's attack. So he's like, well, let me think about it. He asked Morgan. You know that's the wrong person to ask, because he is the peacemaker. He is the all life matters, like, not Black Lives Matter. He's the all lives matter. Like, every life is precious, remember? So what does he say? If there's a way, another way to keep peace, then that's what we should do. Like, nigga, it's not about keeping the peace. Your people just told you that they killed Glenn. Anybody who can kill Glenn, Glenn was the sweetest man. Glenn ain't do nothing to nobody. Glenn was sweet. And they killed Glenn. Now, if they can kill Glenn, come on now. And Olivia wouldn't hurt a fly. And he shot Olivia in the face like she wasn't nothing. So King Ezekiel decides, okay, I'm going to decide in the morning. You guys can stay here if you want. And Rick's like, no, we got to get back. So they leave. And at this point, I think it's been like maybe 30 minutes. It's been like 30 minutes into the episode. Not one walker. Not one walker has been in the entire episode. Nobody has killed a walker. We haven't seen one walking by. Like, nothing. It's like, isn't this The Walking Dead? We're The Walking Dead people. So anyway, so they go back. And I'm sitting here thinking, like, if you want somebody to convince Ezekiel, you need to get Carol. But Morgan didn't tell you Carol staying in the little house right outside the way. That's the one who can tell him, like, that's who really got his attention right now. And if she say fight, he gonna do it. So Carol better go on and put it on him and tell that man to go handle his business. So as they are trying to get back home, they run up on a road that is blocked off with all these cars. So they get out and they're like, okay, we got to move the cars, but then we want to put the cars back because we don't want the saviors to know that we came through. So as they are moving the cars or whatever, somebody noticed that some cars with some explosives, and Rick's like, oh my gosh, we need to get these. Like, we need these. They trying to build up their arsenal. So when they fight, they have weapons. So they like, how do we get these off? How do we get these off? Rosita immediately jumps in. She disarms the explosives, removes the battery or whatever. She's like, take them off. Be careful. So they're taking them off and they're like, this must be for hurt. Meanwhile, here comes the herd start to come. So they trying to hurry up, get the explosives off. One of them, Rosita, like, this one don't look right. Leave this one. I don't like the way this one looks. So they put it down. They have to hurry up, move the cars back. As they moving the cars back, the herd is getting closer. They barely get the cars back. Michonne and Rick jump in the two cars that are connected to this wire cable that the explosives was attached to. They hot wire the cars and start driving side by side with this wire clothesline action. And for the 30 minutes that we didn't have no walkers, like, hundreds of walkers was killed at that moment. Like, they was just slicing them in half. But then it was crazy because when they jumped out the cars, they wasn't even trying to kill walkers. They was just pushing them. And it's like all the people that have gotten killed by, like, single walkers, and y'all was surrounded by hundreds of walkers, and you was just pushing them. Like, just pushing them like it wasn't nothing. Like, move, just move out of my way. They jump in the car. They get back home. Soon as they get back, like, they hide the car that has the explosives and stuff. Like, they leave it outside the gates. So I guess, like, if Negan come, they wouldn't find him, so they won't get in trouble. So they walk in the gate. Soon as they close the gate, here comes Negan's people. So they like, oh my gosh, we ain't got nothing. Like, what is the deal? But I forgot to mention that Jesus had a walkie-talkie. So when they was at the hilltop, they was like, oh, we got to get back home. Jesus was like, oh, no, you don't. He pulls out the walkie-talkie. He like, I got this walkie-talkie, so we'll know what they're doing. Like, we can just listen and we'll be able to know their mood. So they knew that they heard Negan say on the walkie-talkie, like, oh, Daryl's missing. This is when they tried to get the explosive off. So he like, look for Daryl, and kill him. So here comes Negan's people back to Alexandria. And when they come in, Rick's like, oh my gosh, like, we didn't know y'all was coming this soon for a run. He like, we not. We coming for Daryl. He like, what? What you mean, planning? Oh, this, see, I done skipped the part where King Ezekiel granted asylum to Daryl. He said, I'm not going to fight them with you because we have an agreement. I need to have peace with my people. Like, I don't want them to get hurt. But Daryl can have asylum because the Saviors don't come on my property. So there would be no way that they would know Daryl was here. So Rick makes Daryl stay. Daryl's pissed, but he like, Daryl, this way you can convince him to fight with us. So now back, Negan's people are there. Luckily, Daryl's not there because he stayed at the kingdom with King Ezekiel. And they like, we gonna look. So they go around, tear up people's houses. They hate them. They burn the mattresses. Now they tearing up the houses. They just mad that they got houses. Tear up the houses. Don't find Daryl, luckily. So they like, okay, well, if you find him, you better tell us because he got to die. So they leave. So then the people are like, well, let's talk about Father Gabriel. So they tell him like Father Gabriel took all the food and whatnot and took a car and, you know, he's shady. Rosita immediately is like me. She like, oh, he's shady. I can't believe he did that. Rick is like, oh no, he's a changed man. He would not do that. Like, we taught him, like, he's one of us. So they go to the pantry and they're like, did he leave a note? Why didn't he take his Bible? Da da da. So they pick up the log that Olivia used to use to track the food. And he's like, turning through the pages or whatever. The last page said boat. So Rick was like, oh, he did leave us a note. He was like, I wonder how he knew that we was at the boat. Because Eric and Rick had went on a boat and you know, to try to get the guns or whatever. The girl's name is Sasha. I don't know why. I know it started with an S, but I could not think of Sasha. Anyway, so Rick takes his group and it's like Michonne, Eric, you know, da da da. So they go back to the boat. So they're looking and they found a footprint. So they're like, oh, okay, you know, he like brings out his inner Daryl. So he's like tracking the footprints now. So he starts tracking the footprints, but it's not like to the boat. Like, I don't know, it's like a factory looking place. So they're looking, they're following the footsteps or whatever, and they get out into like an open area, and all of a sudden all of these people start rushing in with knives and stuff. Now remember, Father Gabriel had took all the knives and stuff, so, but he's not nowhere to be found, so I don't know what's going on. So all these people like surround Rick now. Rick get this big smirk on his face, like, yes, like he was hyped, like it was Gabriel's army. So it's like he looking at it like, these some more people. These ain't the saviors. So anybody that ain't the saviors right now is a friend of me. And they look like they ain't scared to fight. So if I can get these people on my team, here goes some more bodies for my cause. So of course, scenes to the next episode, he telling the people, you know, we in debt to the saviors, but y'all can help us. So can't wait till next episode. I absolutely love The Walking Dead. Please share, comment, and subscribe. My name is Just Brandy. I'll talk to you next week.
In fact, I don't think this ass should have a gun ever. No guns for bad boys. You hit me first, prick.